This one will be a lot more relaxed,
Yeah,
but we've got a really good one for next week. So next
yeah.
week's going to be a really good event.
Today it's going to be Darren and myself just talking about filling pipelines, client pipelines, which we have some interesting experiences to share. Darren has tweaked his strategy slightly, very slightly, as he was also slightly pivoting his business towards something that makes more sense to him and to the whole business side of things as he scales. Sometimes there's we start there's more services to introduce. Sometimes there's less to deliver more. Sometimes we need to do less, and that's kind of a little bit where Darren is headed this time. He's focusing more on design services and less on full profile building. With his experience in building profiles, the it 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 also makes sense. Although the interesting thing is he's getting a lot of business still on what he wants to do less,
We're getting
isn't
more
it, Darren?
business now than ever. Like we tried to pivot away from profiles, and we're just getting flooded with profiles now. It's crazy. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny how it works. Like, and yeah, the idea behind it really is the parts of the profiles I enjoy most is really to do with the design elements. So it makes more sense to put my focus there. And we've already got a few clients that want to go on monthly retainers now, so it gives us a reoccurring revenue stream, which allows us to scale.
Yeah. On this note, there's a lot of where I was going with this is I have a lot of questions. My clients always struggle with the idea of focusing on one area to start with, and I want to clarify something here. When you focus and you present yourself as an expert in something specific, for example, here on LinkedIn, I'm positioning myself as an inbound systems expert. Uh, it doesn't mean that's all I do. That's just the entry point. That's just how I want people to find me. And it's much easier to be found when you're that one person that does that one thing than if you're trying to present yourself as the one who does everything, right? So if I start telling you that I'm a marketing strategist and any I can fulfill all your marketing needs, this doesn't tell you anything. But if I tell you that I can build inbound systems that will make leads just book calls with you without you doing anything, that tells you something, right? So yeah, and that's just the entry point. When you have the person with you, when you're already working with them, they'll immediately and naturally ask you, all right, can you also do this for me? And yeah, and now Darren has been focusing more on delivering the same level of designs, but without the part that doesn't make so much sense to him, so he can deliver more to more clients with more quality on that specific area, which is design, and not so much the LinkedIn profile optimization. Designed specifically for LinkedIn profiles. Can he do other things? Yes, and he does it.
Yeah, I think like
But
like you said there, Fran. Like you get known for one thing, and I know we've got 8 listening now. So for 2.5 years, we built profiles for 2.5 years, and we've been known for profiles. But off the back end of that, we've had so many of our clients say, "Oh, could you do carousel templates? Could you do presentation templates? Can you do pitch decks?" And then that led into us working with branding agencies. He said, "Oh, could you do visual identity for branding?" We're like, "Yeah, we can do that." So we've only marketed profiles, but we then ended up with this massive amount of work which is outside of profiles, because we're known to be good for one thing. Now, if you try to do too many things, what happens is you're generic, and you don't show that you're good at one thing, and so people presume that you're not good at anything because you're not showing that you're elite in any of those different elements. So that's why it's good to niche down get really good at one thing and then expand inside that doorway. Once you're in with them, you can start to expand your services and say we do this, this, and this as well, but we only publicly offer profiles.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's one important note here as well. One strategy doesn't work for everybody. There's different strategies for each type of business, and now, as even though I had built the inbound system for Darren, and he started pivoting, and now the direction he's headed doesn't make as much sense with the same strategy. So again, I mean, it's what I focus on, and I was the first one to tell him it doesn't make sense to use this same strategy for what you're going to be doing. You should be focusing more on an outreach strategy, and which is the opposite of who I am, or what I advocate usually. But it's important to understand that there's always a different strategy for each type of business, and it's not always the same. And there are very unique businesses who should have personalized marketing strategies. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you started doing, Darren, that started bringing you clients, which
Yeah,
was
so
still inbound, but yeah, it's more of an outreach approach well, it's a hybrid, let's put it this way.
yeah, so I was never a fan of comments. I know there's a couple of people on this call now have already heard, what we did to make this change with the outreach stuff, but I've never been one for jumping in DMs and trying to pitch in DMs. I've never really been a fan of outreach, but recently started doing a commenting strategy using filters through LinkedIn, which meant I could find most recent posts of ideal clients who I'm not even connected to. You're just filtering it out to coaches. And then from that point, then it's you're finding the most recent posts, and they've been posted within the last minute or two. So I was able to get into comments, and I know that coaches follow coaches. So if I comment on a coach's post, there's a good chance that other coaches are going to see it. And my headline at the moment is I build high performance profiles for coaches. So it's very clear what I do and who I do it for. But the commenting that I've been doing has it's caused conversations within comment sections that people have been very appreciative of, because it's obviously helping their post reach. But by getting in there first with my comment at the top, it means that everybody else sees it. And what that's done then is cause people to jump in my DMs and say, oh, could you do my banner? Could you do this? Could you do that? I've got a guy that we did a design pack for the other week, so the banner, photo and featured section. He's now come to us. He wants a PowerPoint presentation template as well as a carousel template. So it led on to more work, and this was a guy that I was never even connected to. I've never heard of him before, but he saw my comment and he saw what we do. So it does work, and like you say, Fran, it's a different strategy, and people need to be aware of that. It's when you're doing profiles, we can do a lot of content and get away with doing a lot of content and commenting in our own stuff. But the type of client that we're trying to get now is they're much bigger players. We're looking to get retainers. And to give an example, tomorrow we've got a post going out tomorrow, which is a repurposed post from Daniel Priestley. So he put a video out the other week, and it was a very good video. And I said to Arsam, I said, let's repurpose this in his branding. Don't claim it to be ours. We're going to say that we stole the post from him. And we're going to tag him in it so he knows that we're not trying to hide the repurposed content. We're being completely open. But the idea behind that is several times a month now we're going to target massive players. Now, Daniel Priestley, if you don't know who he is, he's a serial entrepreneur. He is worth millions, like literally millions. And the idea behind this is now if we build content repurposed from their post in their branding, at some point we're going to get the attention of one or two big players, and they're going to ask us for design services, and then that's a point then when we can reach out, pitch to them, and look to get them on retainers. So once you get the one client, it doesn't make sense to continue doing their content repurposed for our posts, because you've already got them as a client. So what you do then is move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. Eventually you'll start to build up a client base of retained clients. So that's where we're looking to go from there. Like I can see Alex on the call, and he did mention, he said he wouldn't pivot away from profiles because it's what we're known for. But the problem with profiles, I find now, me personally, is because we've been doing it for so long, and I've got a team underneath me, it's very hard now to sustain my team because I've got like, you know, two designers and a copywriter, and I've got to try and sustain that team, and it doesn't make sense when I've got to try to constantly find new profiles to do. Like we've got Arsene that does our content as well, so we've got a content strategist on his team. He's got two designers and a copywriter. So my business supports a lot of other people now, and I can't maintain or sustain that if I'm chasing one profile, one profile, one profile all the time. I need to get retained clients now to be able to give me the financial backing to grow that team again and scale to the next level.
So yeah, the marketing strategy that you're going to adopt always stems off of your business strategy. So you have to understand your business, where it's headed, what's the next logical step to scale it before you actually design the strategy that will take you to the next stage.
Yeah, and I think you know, like going back to the profiles, like I know Eyelet's in here now, and it's okay if you're like a one man band and you've got, you know, if you need someone to do the design, you can outsource the design. But if you manage the copy, or if you can do most of the work yourself, you don't really need a team. And then when you sell a profile, most of that income is in your pocket. But you know, now I've got a design team. If I'm too busy to do the design myself, what happens is I've now got to pay my designer, I've got to pay my copywriter. So when we do a profile, there's very little profit margin at the end of that for the business, especially after I pay myself as well. The business doesn't get a lot of that. So yeah, you are right with the strategy and stuff like that. It's got to make sense for your business. Now, if you're trying to scale, the only way you can scale really is one, if you've got a product like a digital product that you can sell at mass, or if you can get retained clients. But you can't do it based on one and done projects. You know, like retainers are the way that you scale because it's reoccurring revenue every single month. You know, but we were at one point we were spending more on content and marketing than what we were earning in the business. So we were at one point we were in a negative income with the business, and it was a really hard time to go through.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's the thing is if you have a business strategy, then you can adapt a marketing strategy to it. But if you're just throwing things at the wall and you don't have a direction to go, it's like Jim Rohn used to say. I think it was Jim Rohn, a ship without a destination, without a direction, will never reach its destination.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna what's the marketing strategy you're gonna create if you don't have a business strategy? Where do you see your business next year? Like, do you want to scale? Do you want to stay where you are? A lot of people are happy where they are, just earning what they're earning every month, and that's it, and they don't want to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
But if you want to take it to the next level, like, do you want to, okay, how much, where do you want to get to? Do you want to get to the 50K months? Do you want to get to the 100K months? All right, so the marketing strategy will be adjusted to that. All right, what strategy do you need? How many clients do you need? How much is a client worth to you? what's what are the costs of actually fulfilling that client request? Because that's how you reach that conclusion, right? The costs for you to fulfill were very high.
Yeah,
In
so that's the problem, see, mate. And like I've said to you many times before, you know, over the last 18 months, we've had months where I'm like, how am I going to pay the rent this month? You know, and I can't keep living like that. And it's okay. Like if you like to give you an example, people who are listening now, I work with a guy called Ethan Golding, and I spoke to him. He comes at me now with ongoing projects for his clients, banners, design packs, and stuff like that. He's public about it, so it's not like an NDA or anything like that. So I can talk about it freely. But I was talking to him, and he said at one point he was approaching the 20K a month business, and it got way too stressful for him because he likes to keep things simple. He only wants to be him and a couple of people within his team. He doesn't want to grow a massive business. So when he drops back down to like 10 to 12K a month, he's happy there and he doesn't want to scale. So, you know, at that point, he's earning what, 120, 130K a year, you know, and he's happy there, and that it supports his life comfortably. So to him, it doesn't make sense to scale up and have the stress of a big team and all the pipeline and, you know, all your process management, your client interaction, and, you know, all the revisions and stuff like that. It doesn't make sense to him to do that anymore. where other
Y-
people want to, they want to get to that, 150K a month. So it all depends on what you're trying to do. And the bigger you get as well, that you'll find that even the stuff like your content that you put out is going to change the bigger you get. Like Chris Doe can put out a lot of stuff now which he wouldn't have put out years ago when he was trying to scale his business from the beginning. So
Yeah, the same applies to what you're doing. Like not a lot of people could afford to do what you're doing, or I wouldn't recommend them doing what you're doing actually, because you are you are scaling considering that you already have a team, and so it makes sense to head in that direction. You have a team, you have a name, you are recognized on LinkedIn. Some of the retaining clients you're getting are people who actually reached out to you saying, hey, we need some design services, we're struggling with design, we need someone that we can rely on often. And this is also off the back of all the content and what you built over the last 2 years on LinkedIn. You built a brand on LinkedIn, so you are recognized for it. Most people starting out can't afford to do this, and it depends on on what their services are. For example, my business is completely different to yours. I still have an inbound strategy 100%, and obviously my clients are of my prices are higher, so my client pays me more, but it's also more demanding on myself. There's less that I can outsource, so I do have to charge higher prices, but my growth pains are different, but they're still there. As you know, we speak
yeah.
about this a lot.
Well, I think
So yeah, every business is unique.
yeah, like
Go
well,
ahead.
we recently launched the profile course. We were doing profiles and stuff like that, and a big thing of that was the lead magnet, the email list, and making sure we were getting people into there as fast as we can. But like the clients I'm trying to target, the bigger clients, like Daniel Priestley is never going to join my email list. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to build those
Yeah,
relationships different to that. Now the email list is still going to exist because we can still use that for newsletters, engagement. If we come out with like micro products that we can sell at a low price or anything that they can use, then that email list is still really important. So it's important to keep driving people to that. Plus, we're getting
yeah,
people
of
off the
course.
platform for future reference anyway. But the main clients that I'm looking to target now like my content is probably not going to attract them because they don't care about profiles for a start. And a lot of the time now, like everyone who's listening now, so my content that's coming out over the next, well, foreseeable future is going to be focused not on how to do things like drop shadows and typography and that, because all I would do then is attract designers, and I don't want to attract graphic designers because they're not my ideal audience. So what I need to be doing then is the content that we're looking to build is talking about the psychology behind design and why it's important and how it affects buyers' decisions, and doing like case studies. We started doing case studies, but I think we'll improve on them as we go along. But case studies about big companies, about their branding and how it reflects in their advertising and marketing and all these different things. We've had to go from a completely different direction with our content, and we've got to be careful not to attract designers because it's not what we're trying to do. We want to make people realize, okay, I need design because of XYZ, and that's why it's so important. And the problem we see, like writers are, they try to fight the battle of design's not important, it's all about copy. Well, that's bullshit, because the first thing that gets the attention is the colors, the fonts, the layout, the design. That's the first thing that grabs your attention before you even start reading. That's why the banner's so important on a profile. And then the
Absolutely.
copy then pulls them in further. And that's what people need to realize. If your design sucks, you're not going to get the attention to keep people reading.
Absolutely. I'm a words person. I actually see the world in words.
Yeah, yeah.
That's you know how visually impaired I am in the sense of design, but I do understand this. I mean, the first thing that actually catches attention is the visuals, whether we want it or not. And it's, for example, my posts on LinkedIn are mostly text based or video based, right? Due to the reasons I just mentioned. But if you're scrolling through LinkedIn and you see a text post, or then you see, why do selfie posts work so much? Because it's that visual that catches your attention. It doesn't matter what it is. And a lot of times we complain and we whine, oh, it's they have the selfie because it's a cute girl and everybody wants to look at it. Yes, but it's because it's attractive and it stops the scroll.
Hmm.
That's it. So it makes you start reading. That it's not gonna make the post on its own, that selfie, but it makes you start reading
I think I just lost you there for a sec, mate.
the design is. Sorry,
Yeah,
you lost me.
you cut out for a sec then.
Right. So yeah, that's the design is the first thing, and then it keeps you going as well. I
Mm.
mean, the delivery of the text is also important. One of the reasons I like LinkedIn is because it's very text simple. You know, I can just write, but then again, if I don't have a well designed profile, then it doesn't mean anything when people visit, does it?
No, no. Like I know there's a couple of people that come to mind. I won't mention names, but because I don't want to sound like I'm picking on them. But there's a few people online that I follow, and their profiles in one element of branding, and then their content is all over the place. Like it just there's all the colors are different, the fonts are different. Like if you look at the post, you wouldn't even recognize it as their post. And this is really important when you're trying to attract clients or a following of any kind, is making sure that everything aligns. Like when we look at doing profiles, especially for like the people who've got like fully established companies, we say, okay, well, what is your website? Have you got a website? Yes. Okay, well, let's look at the website and let's align the design elements of that profile to the website, because what will happen then is when they come to the see your content matches your profile, your profile matches your website. And then if you go to the website, now you've got Facebook, Twitter, and all the other accounts. When you go to those, the branding is throughout the whole thing, not like a pink banner here, a blue one over there. You know your content's in yellow. It's a bloody mess, and people need to understand that. You know, to bring
Yeah.
all those visuals in. Like you know, when you think of Apple, the first thing you think of is white because they use like clean white box. I know they use black boxes now, but they use white boxes, a clean white box, very minimal design. It's quality, you know, and
Yeah.
that is throughout their website. You go to their website, the website is simple layout, is load of white space, it's very clean, you know, and
Yeah, that's the next step, design congruency,
yeah,
which is a
yeah,
big thing as well.
but it's
When I used to
consistency.
work on in advertising, I mean, I remember the numbers back then, but it's off of the top of my head. We used to have like if you have an ad that drives a person to a landing page or after the ad, so you click on the ad, you go to a page, and if the page is completely off brand, so completely the design is completely off compared to the ad, we there were tests that we ran, and it was like 40% conversion drop there, just there,
Yeah,
you know. Because people, it's like you open a door, you enter a room, and you're completely startled. You don't know what to expect. Whilst if you click an ad and you land on something that actually visually makes sense with that ad, you know where you are. You feel comfortable. That, oh, okay, that's where I clicked on.
mm,
Otherwise, you feel like, okay, what is this? And as I always say, a confused prospect clicks X.
yeah. Well, you know, to kind of relate to that. So something I started doing over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. So when we used to build featured sections, people would say, "Oh yeah, I just want like my face in there, and I want a bit of text, and I want this, that, and the other." What I do now, quite consistently across all my clients' work now, is if they've got a Calendly link, I take a screenshot of their Calendly and then I put it into a phone mock-up, because when they see the featured section and they click on that thumbnail, they can see that phone of what they should expect on the other side of that click. It's the same with like if you're going to
Yeah,
go to the website, I put it in a laptop mock-up, and the reason for that is to make sure that it's consistent with what they're clicking. Like you just said, you know, if the advert doesn't match the website, there's a disconnect. So it's making sure that they know what to expect when they get on the other side. Like if I said, "Oh yeah, click here to book a call," well, they don't know what they're going in for. Then they go in there, they realize it's Calendly. Well, I know it's not like an emotional shock. You know, it's not like something that's heavily impactful, but it's a much nice transition to that external link when they can see some kind of visual which will represent what they will get to when they click it.
yeah, absolutely. And we're talking a lot about design. I want to move a little bit away from this because next week we'll have a whole design episode. Well, not just design, but focused more on design agencies and stuff. Do you want to actually tell us who our guest's going to be next week?
Yeah, so it'll definitely be one for creative, so writers, designers, videographers, anyone who's in the creative space. But next week we're speaking to Matt Essam, and he is the sales and business coach for Chris Doe of the future. And for those of you who don't know who Chris Doe is, Chris Doe owns a multi-million dollar branding agency over in the States. So, Chris Doe, so Chris, and then his last name is Do.
Yeah, he's been working very closely with Jasmine recently, so
Yeah,
I
yeah. So a
suppose
lot of
most
people should
people would have
know.
heard of him.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
should know that. So we've got Matt Essam, he's extremely efficient at helping creative agencies scale. So it's going to be a really good conversation next week to really focus on the creative space.
Yeah, so it will be focused a lot on the creative space, but as in Matt helps creative agencies scale. So that will be an interesting, a very interesting conversation. And let's go back to filling pipelines today. Yeah? So you've now you're doing a more one-on-one approach now, even though people are still coming to you. So you started commenting, being very, how would I say this? Being very, very not careful, but you're being very conscious about your comments. Your comments have been amazing. Like you're actually chatting with people, and this brings to an interesting point as well. I've been seeing more and more AI comments on my on my posts, and you have as well. I know you for you is instant block.
Yeah,
I still like kind of delete them and don't answer, but all right. So let's just take this. Let's just talk about this, like AI comments. Why would you use AI comments? Aren't we here to network first and foremost? Isn't it the most important rule of LinkedIn? And if you haven't understood this by now, then you're missing the point. I mean, yes, you can create amazing content, but if you just want to create content, just go to Twitter. If you just want to write text posts, or go to Twitter, go to Threads actually, because apparently it seems to be having a lot of distribution. You wanna post videos, go to YouTube, but LinkedIn is for networking. It's like otherwise you're not on the right platform because you're not taking full advantage of it. Yes, you get a lot of follower growth, but those numbers can be an illusion, and they might not mean what you want them to mean.
yeah. So
Can you have? Go ahead.
sorry, yeah, I was just going to say. So I may as well. I'm going to quickly talk about it now because you mentioned AI and another part of not necessarily AI but automation. Now I'm just going to come out and say it. So for 3 months, I trialed automated software which sent 500 connection requests a month to my ideal clients. And it was an intro message that said, "Hi, I noticed we've got a few mutual connections. We'd love to connect." And I'd only send it to second degree connections, so that's how it worked. And it made an absolute mess of my profile. It ruined everything. My reach was down. I was just having really shit quality connections. It was poor. Now the reason I wanted to mention that quickly is because we're just talking about AI now and AI comments, and what it's doing, it's causing a very low quality conversation. And from the way we do it now is filter and go out manually, and we start to really pay attention to what the post is talking about. And if you can't think of something within 20 to 30 seconds as a decent comment, move on to the next one, because you'll find posts that you can relate to and have a conversation with. And when you do put a really good comment in there, what happens then? That leads to a conversation within the comments. So not only are you getting exposure to their network, you're helping them push their post to your network. So you're helping each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are creating that connection. You're starting to talk to someone. You're talking to a person. That's important to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Now, if you're just using AI to create comments to distribute your content, I mean, what's the point of your content being distributed anyway? Who is it gonna reach? And if your comments are AI, then probably your content is as well, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, and what do you expect to get from that? Are you gonna get a few clients? Maybe, yeah. And then what's the long term goal with that? Yeah. So Richard Vanderbilt also posted yesterday about this, and he mentioned AI comments are 45% have increased 45% in the last few months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alex wants to say something or ask something. I'm gonna bring Alex up to speak. This time I haven't said it. So if you wanna say something, if you wanna talk to us, you wanna ask a question. Today has been just a very light conversation. That's why we haven't done the usual presentation and all of this. But just raise your hand and put it up if you want to talk about your experience. I'm just going to ask you one thing, just whether you have a question or you have something to say to add to the conversation. Today, again, it's a very light-hearted conversation. Just keep it short, please. And let's go, Alex. How are you doing, Alex?
It's just a quick question, actually, regarding comments, and I wanted both of your thoughts. What, in terms of like volume and strategy, because I know you Darren mentioned, focusing on some of the bigger clients, and that's great. So do you focus on like a smaller number of very specific people that you want to nurture over a longer time, or do you focus on a bigger group that's constantly expanding? I know some people prefer to go on volume and just, add X amount of connections per day or per week, and they keep kind of going on that higher volume. So I wanted to know what your opinion is on that, and Fran, yours as well.
Yes, I'll just answer first because I'll be very quick on this one. Thanks, Alex. For me, volume is never a solution because the more volume, the less personalization there is. And I think that connections and actual conversations and relating to people is the solution. Darren, you want to pick this one up?
Yeah, so it kind of relates back to what I was saying earlier about the automated connection request, mate, because it wasn't. Although I was sending, I had a 72% acceptance rate on 500 connection requests a month, but that wasn't leading to any conversation. It wasn't going anywhere. It was just dead in the water. But now the way I do it with the comments, I'm not sending connection requests, so I'm very targeted on who I'm commenting with. And most of the time, like I said, it's people outside of my network that I'm not even connected to. They're not even second degree connections. So what it's doing then is causing a quality conversation, and that's having a much higher return on investment. Now, the way I do that is just I won't talk about how I filter it out, but once I've filtered it, I usually spend like 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon just doing comments. Refresh it, save it as a bookmark, so you can just click the bookmark and it automatically does the filters. And then by doing like 20, if you can do like 10, 15 comments twice a day, well, that's like 30 comments a day. 10 days you've got 300 comments, you've got 900 comments a month. So if let's just say a low number. So say you had 900 comments a month, and each of those posts got 1,000 impressions. That's like 900,000 impressions your comments potentially got to ideal clients. So it's a much bigger impact than even doing your own content, because you're out there spreading word for people who aren't even connected to you. So hopefully that answers that one, mate.
It does, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's all about the connections you build. That's my answer to everything here on LinkedIn. And look, I work with very few clients, so I can only work with two clients per month on different basis, and because of my personalization and the way I approach things, and because it's very demanding on me. But honestly, uh, like right now, well, two clients, but right now half of them came from my on inbound systems, and the other half was recommendations and people relationships that I built, who brought them to me, which is one person obviously. But this is not just what I have active right now. I mean, in the long term, it's people come to me, they find me through my systems, but a lot of people come to me because people like Darren have sent them my way, because they said they know, okay, Frank can help you with this, and those are the relationships we're building here. It's not just, yeah, there's a lot of marketing strategies we can put out, and there's a lot of things that can go into marketing, like this. These events are part of of the marketing we're doing here. It's content. It's something we're putting out for you guys. You want to join, you want to listen to us talking about these conversations. It's very, very simple. Like, these are conversations we have, actually. So we said, why don't we have them live, and everybody can listen in, and maybe it'll help some people. And yeah, we've had the feedback, and people are enjoying them. And also, we're making new connections because of the guests we're bringing in. Those people were learning from each other constantly. So it's these connections are what matter. What do you think about this, Darren?
Yeah, so it's the quality connections, isn't it? And if you can do well with the quality of connection rather than people that you just connect with and connect and ghost. Um, if you build those relationships up properly, you're the first person in mind when somebody says, "Oh, do you know anybody that does X, Y, Z?" And you're like, "Yeah, I know just the person for that." And those connections, as long as you're maintaining that relationship, then you should be the one that they always refer to people. The thing with, like, I couldn't get in the eyes of Daniel Priestley until we put this post out tomorrow and see if it gets any attention. If he starts commenting or liking it or anything, that gives me an opportunity then to jump in his DM and just say, "Oh, thanks for liking the post. Wanted to get your feedback, see what you thought about it," and just give him a little bit of information, not pitch, but talk to him about, "Oh yeah, I'm just trying to pivot the business. This is the direction what we want to do now, and this is what we've been doing for 2 years. And have you got any advice that you could give us?" Because he's really good with advice as well. And going back to Chris Do, when I first started designing in 2022, in January 2022, I reached out to Chris Do because he was one of the first people I came across as a design agency, and he was already big at that time. And I just DM'd him. I said, "I'm just starting my career in design. Is there any advice you can give me?" And these big players are always open to give advice. So it just gives you the quality connections. If you spend time with them, you can nurture them and build it over time. And with the hopes that later on down the road, it's going to become a full-time client, or at least somebody that would refer people to you.
Yeah, most of our businesses here on LinkedIn. I mean, this is B2B, and a lot of it is I'm a marketing strategist, and I have to tell you, like, there's no better strategy for marketing than building those relationships. Those will be sending clients your way for a long, long time.
Yeah, I think, like, I've been asked a couple of times the last few weeks, what would I recommend for someone who's trying to build a business? And I think now, personally, if I could go back and do it all again, I wouldn't just accept every connection request. I would make sure I'm very selective in my connections I accept. They can be followers, I don't mind that, but connection requests, you want to be very, very picky, and you want to try and keep really your follower to connections like 1 to 10 minimum. So every connection you got, you want 10 followers, or if you can get more followers than connections, that's even better because the ratio is much better. But then what I would do then is I would post twice a week, just 2 times a week. It'd be like a Tuesday and a Thursday. Fridays are really shocking. Tuesday and Thursday, that would be your posts. So it shows that you're active weekly on LinkedIn. And then the rest of the week, I would just spend in comments. I would literally go to people's posts, people who you want to target as ideal clients, start conversations with them. If they come to your profile, as long as your profile is optimized and clear what you do, then at least that point, then they can see, okay, this person's active. They post twice a week. Their profile tells me what they do. They're in my comments. They're building that relationship up. And it's a much more efficient way than just posting 7 times a week, burning out. And it doesn't really get you very far. This is what I've realised now, is like posting 7 times a week isn't the answer. You're better off lowering that to 2 or 3 times a week and just getting in those comments of other people's posts.
Absolutely. On this note of connections and relationships and all of this, last week we start sort of a community. It's something very lighthearted, a place where you can come, ask you questions. There's a few experts in people. We still have a few to join, and there's a lot of topics. So marketing strategy, where I answer any questions you might have about it. Profile optimization, where you have Darren. We have content strategy, where Arsam is our expert there. We have branding, we have design, sales strategies. We have people like Dana, Sandra. So if you're interested in joining this space, I'm gonna drop a temporary link just now in the comment section of this event. So So you can just go there, click the link, and join us there. It's a Discord server. It's very lighthearted, and there's not much on it at the moment. We'll continue building on it probably, and maybe even create other type of events eventually. For now, it's just a place where you can ask questions. We'll put some resources there every once in a while as well, and you have all these subjects that help you build your business. So marketing strategy, profile optimization, content strategy, branding, design, sales strategies, audience building, LinkedIn, and Sales Navigator, where we have Perry, the ultimate Sales Navigator master. So I just posted in the comment section now. So if you want, just go there, click. It won't stay there for long. The invite, I'm gonna take it down after when the event finishes. So if you're interested in joining us there, just go ahead and click and join us there. I know a few of you are already there, and yeah, it's something we'll be building in for a long term as well.
It'd be a place for other people to network as well. So it's free. It's not. It's never going to be charged for. It's free.
Yeah.
It's worth jumping in there. We can have proper conversation there off LinkedIn. It's a way for us to keep you guys updated as well for any changes that might happen in certain areas as well. So yeah, definitely check that out. But I think we can ask for questions, mate, if you want.
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned before, if anybody wants to ask anything or wants to talk today, it's just a chill out conversation, and otherwise we'll keep this one short as well. Anything you want to ask about, specifically about filling pipelines, or like, do you need more clients in your business? It doesn't matter. What type of business do you have? Any way you can find more leads, close them, anything you want to know about this, just raise your hand, let us know, and we'd be happy to tell you about our experience and what we know. And we have Alex again. Hello, Alex.
Hey, and if anyone else wants to jump in, don't let me stop you, but I'll be quick. I thought this is relevant to
Go
the
ahead, man.
conversation we've had about DMs. Since you talked about it quite a bit. In your opinion and from your experience, and you might have different approaches to this, what would you say are some of the signals that you may be looking for when you think, oh, this person's maybe ready to buy, I should perhaps mention it? And what are your approaches?
Yeah, are you asking me or Darren?
Both of you, I guess.
Okay. Darren, you want to start? Shall I?
Yeah, so it's going to be different for each business, but for me, I just talk about them in general. Like, I always ask questions about them, and not always about their business. Like a lot of the recent clients we've had, they've been parents, like dads, especially dads. Like, I work with a lot of men. I don't know why, but we seem to attract a lot of males with what we do. And I speak to them, like, to give you an example, there was a guy I'm working with now building his design pack, and he said, oh, I'm really tired. I said, oh, what's up? And he said, oh, we've got an 18-month-old boy. And I said, oh, ours is 3. So what it does, it gives me a way to open up the conversation to become more personal. And then with that, then you can relate. So it's trying to find something relatable that they can let their guard down. And you don't want to go in for the kill and say, oh, yeah, by the way, do you want to buy X, Y, Z? Just have a conversation. And this guy, I connected with him about a month ago, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago. And, we've been having conversation, the odd DM throughout the week, a couple of DMs, a bit of a conversation. And literally like 2 days ago, he came and he said, oh, I knew we were going to work together at some point. I'm ready to move forward with a profile design pack. So I don't even have to pitch, and I think if you try to pitch at all, you're more likely going to lose them, because most of the time people aren't ready to buy when you pitch. It's a case of building them up, showing what you do. They'll follow your content, even if they don't engage on the content or whatever you're posting. But if you warm them up to that point where they let their guard down, it's very easy for them to approach you when they feel comfortable. And even things like if you're in a conversation with, for us it works this way. So if I'm in a conversation, I can always say, oh yeah, how's things going with you? We're just wondering, how's your week been? Oh, by the way, we've just designed this banner for this client. What do you think about it? So what it does then, it pushes our designs into their face. So they're looking at it like going, oh, that's a really nice banner, that's a really nice profile, and they're looking at it like going, oh, I want one of those, because it's kind of that keeping up with the Joneses thing, if you've ever heard that expression, where people want to have a profile or a visual or whatever it be that kind of keeps up with other people. So if they feel that people are spending money with you on a particular service, they're more likely to spend it without you even pitching.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, personally, I'm not the right person to give you an answer on this because I don't even know how to sell, honestly. I just I don't like sales. I worked in sales a lot. I don't like to sell, literally. I mean, I like to make sales. I just don't like to sell directly to a person. So what I've done is I became so good at marketing and specifically attraction marketing that I don't need to sell. People actually ask me. But with this out of the way, I think most of the times for the type of services we are offering here on LinkedIn, most of us, and there are exceptions, obviously, it makes what makes more sense is try to get a one face-to-face conversation, and when you're having that conversation where you're on a call with someone, it's like it's almost intuitive that you know like if that person is ready to buy from you or not. And even if they're not, like we've had experts in the past about this. You can go back and listen to the conversation with Kevin last week. Kevin is really good on this about the with these things, and Kevin is my go-to help when I my go-to expert when I need help with this. And again, he's going to be no, he is already in our community to answer questions about sales, because he's the person I reach out to when I don't know. I'm usually good at reading people, but when it comes to selling for myself, not really. So what I do is I send the conversation to Kevin, and Kevin tells me, all right, this person really wants you to sell them something. They really need you and they're ready to, so bring them to a call, do the next logical thing. And again, what I the only thing for me that I focus on is at the moment is bring them to a one-on-one conversation, the chat, right? And I wouldn't hide behind the idea of a coffee chat, right? If you want to sell, then it either you give something, and that's how I do it. I get on a call with someone and I give my insights and my ideas. And at the moment, the people who decided to work with me are people who actually said, all right, so how can I work with you? How much do I charge? How does it look like? They are the ones who asked me. But then once you've delivered this value also on the call, you can be the one doing this. All right, so if you want this, and I can tell you this from the marketing side of things, because I know the theory as I do it in writing. I just don't execute it in a one-on-one call very well. So what you do is, and this is me being 100% open. What you do is you show them the what and the why, and then what you sell is the how, right?
Some great tips, guys. If you don't mind, I have a quick follow up on that. Maybe this one for Darren. Is there any point, so since you targeting specific clients that you're nurturing over a long time, is there any point at which you say, oh, actually, I'm not going to deal with that person anymore, that lead is dead? Because I know some people like to do that. Perhaps they're more on the volume side. So I was thinking, what is your thought on that approach?
Yeah, so when we first started out, we used to just do banners, and because it's a low ticket offer, and at the time I was only charging like between £50 and £100, depending on where you were looking at in the year, £50 to £100. So I would try and build a relationship up over 1 or 2 weeks. If it didn't go anywhere, I'd move on. But now we're moving into the point where we're looking for retainers. It's worth keeping that going long term, because you never know when that person's going to look at you and go, actually, I wouldn't mind working with you on a monthly basis. So it all depends, like obviously you can't manage like 1,000 people that you're engaging with every day, but it's definitely worth having kind of a CRM or somewhere where you can keep track of people that you want to work with. And, just once a week drop in, or once every couple of weeks drop in going, oh, hi, just wanted to catch up, see how things are going. just ask, what they've been up to, and all you're doing, you're just planting that you in their mind again, just to make it fresh. But it doesn't have to be like every single day in their DMs commenting every single day, as long as you're seen to be relatively regular with them. So hopefully that answers that one, mate.
Yeah, from my side, I appreciate a good conversation with someone. It doesn't matter. It doesn't like as long as you're not pitching to me. I appreciate a good conversation. It doesn't matter what the conversation is about. But if you come and talk to me about marketing, then I'll talk to you all day long.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think you've got to, when you are trying to chase the money and all you think about is the money and making the next sale, engagement becomes very unpleasant because all you're trying to do is chase money all the time. And when
Exactly.
you stop chasing the money and you want to focus on, I want to build quality relationships, like like with the comments that I'm doing now, it makes it a much more enjoyable process, and you actually want to go into those comments or those DMs and have a conversation, and it makes it more of a nicer experience for both sides. So my advice all the time is stop chasing the money, even if your business is struggling, because when you chase the money you end up pitching, and when you end up pitching you end up pushing that prospect away. So what you're doing, you're having a negative impact all the time. So slow down, enjoy the conversations. Comments are better than DMs to an extent because you're public, so more people get eyes on you rather than a DM. But if it's somebody that you've been in comments for a week or 2 weeks, it's worth taking it to the DMs and just trying to get a little bit more personal. If they say, oh, how's your week gone? And you can say, oh yeah, I've had a nightmare client this week. We've had whatever, problem we've had, or don't make out like everything's brilliant every week of every day, because it's not. Business is hard. So if you've had a hard week, just say, oh, don't try and be like all like droopy and bring everyone down, but just say, oh yeah, we've had a really hard week this week. We've been working with this client, a couple of revisions, blah, blah, blah. Really tired because my daughter's keeping us up, or whatever it be. And it opens up a personal touch there where they can say, oh yeah, we've had a similar week and blah, blah, blah. And like with me, I talk to, like I said, I talk to a lot of parents now, so I can relate to what they're going through. If you come across people who've got something similar, if they're in the same sport or anything that you like, a same hobby or interest or anything like that, spark a conversation with that, and they've got something that they can latch onto to relate.
Yeah, and we've had Perry here in the past as well, and Perry's very big on this as well. He's always advocating for this building of a natural relationship. And Perry, we're talking about a person with over 20 years of experience, specifically of social selling on LinkedIn, and that's what he advocates for as well. That we're humans after all, whether we want it or not. And the more artificial you make the connection, the harder it is to actually get a client.
Yeah, and I think the important thing as well, Alex, right? So if you, I'm going to go back to profiles just briefly, right? So if you make your profile unbelievably clear on what you do and who you do it for, that is you holding a plate of food out, right? Now, when you talk to people, they're going to come there, and if they're not hungry at the time, they're not going to eat, no matter how much you try and force feed them, right? Now, if you can make your profile very clear and you keep that relationship going, when they're ready to eat, they're going to come to you and say, can I take a bite? And that's your time then to say, yeah, this is what we do, these are our prices, or whatever, or talk about what they're likely to get and the outcome of why they need it and how it helps and all this stuff. So sell them on the benefits and the outcome, and then the price isn't so much of a shock. Like if you just go, oh yeah, we do XYZ, it's like, £500 or £1,000 or £2,000 or whatever, they're gonna go, oh shit, man, that's a big price. Where if you tell them about all the benefits and why they need it, suddenly the price isn't much of a shock. But you can't force feed people who don't want to eat. This is what you've got to think about.
Yeah, you can lead the horse to water.
Yeah, you're gonna say something else.
Great insights, thank you.
No worries.
All right, thanks, Alex, for your questions. Great questions as well. All right, if there are any other questions, we'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I think we're almost ready to wrap up for today. What do you say, Darren?
Yeah, man. Like Fran said earlier, check the link in the description of the event to get to the Discord channel. That's only going to be up temporarily because we're trying to avoid mass people joining. We only want people in there that are like joining the events who are interested in talking to us, and they're actually putting time to engage. And then outside of that, make sure that you follow me and Fran closely over the next day or two, because we're going to be posting the next event. Now, if you're in the creative space, I know Haristo's in here. Aylet's also in the creative space. I'm not sure. I think Jurario as well. I'm just trying to think, but I know a couple of you are in the creative space, and Abu, I think, as well. He does profiles, so keep an eye out for that. You're definitely going to want to check out next week's event, 100%, because like Matt Essam is an absolute animal when it comes to helping creative agencies scale. So he puts a lot of good content out. He's worked with some very big players, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it for today. We're going to. This was a very light-hearted one. We can't always be bringing in big names and delivering massively. This is a weekly reoccurring event, and we decided to keep. Every once in a while, we need to keep it light-hearted, even for our own sanity as well. Darren, isn't it? Is we can't be heavily promoting events every week, and obviously you guys don't wouldn't appreciate it either.
Well, we needed a break, man, because you hit burnout a couple of weeks, and I'm currently in burnout. So
Yeah,
this week when we said, oh, should we just have a light conversation? It's just been nice to just kind of switch off, have a chat.
yeah,
There's 13 people in here. It's just nice to see your faces, and to see that you're active on here, and but we'll start ramping
absolutely.
it up again now.
Yeah, and I on this is also a note for what Alex was talking about, the conversations, right? That's what we're doing here. We're having a conversation. We're having a conversation about something that we're both about our businesses, something that we're both passionate about. Marketing on my side. Darren is actually quite interested in marketing as well, but he's the design side and more. And if we can help anyone with these conversations, that's perfectly fine. Now, we've had guests with us who actually told us, all right, I booked a client off of out of the after that event, and it's just a conversation. So again, it's a conversation where you're delivering value, you're giving what you can, you're not pitching anybody. So I would advise everybody to forget about the pitch and the sales tactics and all of that. It's B2B, and mostly in B2B and this type of business, and networking is the most important thing you have. It's the strongest weapon you have in your favor to fill up your pipeline, honestly. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming, and this was fun. It was different, but it was fun. Thanks, Darren. Thanks, Alex, for your questions, and I'll see you next week.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.